Well, hello, Liberty listeners. Welcome to another episode of Liberty Road. Today, we're both in for a treat because this is somebody I haven't spent time with that I've been wanting to spend time with. This is Neha Kumar, and Neha is one of those people that's done a lot of things really well. And so we're going to try and unpack some of those things today. But I'm excited to have her on here because she's one of those people that I've heard about time and time again. It's like everybody I know is like, you need to know her, you need to meet her. So it's happening in real time and you guys get to be a part of it. Neha, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't we just give our audience a little context? We're going to talk about your most recent launch, and then we'll back into some of the other things that you've done. But you most recently co-launched, I should say, Full Glass Wine. Tell us a little bit about that first, and then we'll back into your story prior to that.
Of course. So I currently co-founded the company Full Glass Wine in 2023, and I'm a co-CEO with the company. So I have a co-founder and a co-CEO, and the two of us have been running this company. And the impetus for the company really is we were watching, different changes going on in the market. And as everybody knows, interest rates were very low in 2020, 2021. And the real thinking here is what are some things that essentially are going to occur in the market due to some of these changes that occurred during COVID time? We all know every time something happens in the market where there's challenges, there's always a potential upside as well. So we really looked at this as a potential silver lining to be able to put some great brands together under one roof that needed a little bit of extra love and TLC, and us on the brand side and the operation side, we could really work together to help them out. So essentially what we did is we spent about 18 months putting together 7 companies, 9 brands. We acquired them in a very fast turnaround. And I will tell you, every coin has 2 sides. So it's amazing what we did. It was very, very hard as well.
Thanks for telling the truth. It's best when our listener knows exactly what it takes to get to this point. Otherwise, we're not really empowering her, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so just so we understand, what was interesting about that time was because of interest rates, you could then acquire these companies. That gave you the freedom to take on capital so that you could do the acquisition. Is that what you were talking about when you?
So I'm going to jump into this and you tell me. I get a little bit fun when it comes to talking about anything finance related because I love it.
Yeah,
and you know as well, I teach undergrad at UCLA. So
yeah.
If interest rates are really low for an extended period of time, what's going to occur typically, and this is what we've seen historically, is if interest rates are very low, there's a lot of free flowing capital in the market because interest rates and the demand for money have an inverse relationship. So if interest rates are low, demand for money is high, there's more money in the market that's floating around. That means people have more money, funds have more money to bid when you're investing into companies. So let's say right now you're creating a company that is a water bottle company or a water company, and you're raising money in 2020, 2021. You could have been a company that had just launched or was even, oh my God, pre-revenue.
Yeah.
And you could raise at such high valuations. You might have even had people competing for your business to put money into your company because there's so much money floating around. The challenge that you have with that, if it occurs for an extended period of time, that's not sustainable. So when those companies need to eventually raise again, or they run out of capital, they have other challenges, there's not as many people that are going to want to come in to help said water company because the valuation is too high. So that's not a great thing.
Yeah.
But then, like we said, there's always a way for people to essentially come into the market and say, okay, this happened. It's not great. I mean, I had my own things going on at time too, which aren't always great. But what am I going to do about it now? Like, this is the world. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And so what if we took a bunch of these companies together, put them under one roof, and then gave them a place where they have a chance to not only survive, but also thrive? And I was actually looking at pet food companies because pet food had really taken off during the pandemic. And then I was actually looking at beauty skincare companies because so much money went into that space during the pandemic, as you know.
Yeah.
One company called Wink in 2022, the week of Thanksgiving, filed for bankruptcy. It was a public company. And so sometimes in life, you have a right mentality and you go out there with that intent, but you also just, everybody says, like, when one door closes, another one opens. Having said that, you also have to keep your mind out for opportunities that could come up.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying my eye out, I'm specifically saying my mind out. You're putting the energy out there in the world, or what are the different things that can come up or potentially come up. And so I ended up seeing Wink. Me and someone at the time ended up looking at trying to get them from the bankruptcy situation. It didn't
And
work.
what kind of company was Wink?
Wink is a direct to consumer wine company.
Okay. Okay. So they were the
Very,
first. Okay.
yes, they're a phenomenal brand, very buzzy, very fun, really big. They're really big on Instagram as
Yeah.
well. And even at Create and Cultivate, when I was there, we would do a lot of partnerships with Wink. It's a really fun kind of brand. And so in June of 23, my partner and I closed on Wink. That was the first company. And then it was a roller coaster since then. It was in October, we closed on a company called Wine Insiders. And 24 was our big acquisition year. In March, we closed on a company called Bright Cellars, and we also did our Series A. In June, we closed on a company called
Oh my
Splash
gosh.
Wines. In August, we closed on a company called Scout and Cellar. In September, we bought three assets out of bankruptcy. We bought Cameron Hughes, Windsor, and Vanessa. In 2 months, we ended up selling Windsor. And in November, we closed on a company called Wine Access. And so it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. It was a lot of work.
And but the intention, just for those who are listening, the intention that you and your partner had was to acquire, in whatever category, a bunch of companies and try and put them through sort of a brand funnel, make them more attractive for the purpose of selling them. Is that accurate?
So all of our companies are direct to consumer wine.
Yeah.
We're hyper focused on streamlining operations in a company. So what we did was, the impetus was, we have the interest rates. Some of these companies are going to have some fun times during the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Can we put a bunch of companies in the same category under
Right.
one umbrella, and we
Right.
can leverage operations and build and continue to build out the brand? So the first thing that we essentially do with bringing all the companies on board is we put them on the same tech stack. The tech stack is very good from an operational standpoint. It's also very good from a consumer standpoint, because the consumer experience then is going to be significantly more streamlined. So number one is the tech stack. Number two is we create for all of the brands a shared services platform. Now, the shared services, everybody does shared services in regards to accounting and finance, and then also
Mm-hmm.
operations.
Mm-hmm.
We also do shared service and marketing. So, for example, if somebody's looking at SMS texting, they become the expert, or the group becomes the expert, and they can apply it to all of the brands. We get better pricing, we get a better understanding, we get our consistency, right? You really build institutional knowledge in regards to that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, each one of the brands has their own brand team. They'll have their own brand lead, who really is the consumer's voice, who is an understanding of the core customer demographic of each one of the brands as well. So those items for us are very important to keep distinct. But everything else, if you think of performance marketing, et cetera, is really good for us to have that streamlined and running in a shared services team. Think of integrated marketing.
And that was the intention. I mean, you ended
Correct.
up landing on wine. It could have been something else. You landed on wine as a
Correct.
category, but it was, we're going to acquire these companies and scaffold them for
Correct.
whatever's next, all in the same category. Brilliant. Now, what led you from a COO at Create and Cultivate, from that to, nope, I actually want to create my own thing and play the CEO role? What led to that decision? With two small kids, by the way.
Yes, it's I'm gonna actually take this back to the kids thing.
Yeah.
When you actually sit there, if you think that you're going to have a plan, and I know your kids are a little bit older than me, so you're
Yeah.
going to probably know this even better than me. If you think you have a plan, I mean, you're just wrong to start. right? Like you
Yeah.
can plan all that you want and have all the ideas that you want. Like
Yeah.
my kid's going to be this, my kid is going to
Uh-huh.
do this. And like, you're like, they have their own set of thoughts and wishes and aspirations in life, right? I think my daughter so my daughter is 4, she's almost 5, right? And I mean, that girl has her own mind. She will tell you what she wants and when she wants it. And it is another thing. So I can have all the ideas in the world for her, or forget ideas in the world. Honestly, how I even think the day is going to go.
Yeah.
How do I think one day is going to go with a
Yeah.
4-year-old, right? It's out the window. It's the same way with business. So the way I really look at this for me is that there's a single line, a thread that is tied towards all the different things that I've done. And it's just it's a
Mm.
underlying fundamentals on I really enjoy business. And the second part is I really like working with great people. The
Mm.
people component is what makes it fun. And somebody told this to me when I was in high school, and I love the concept. It's not what do you want to do in life, it's what do you want to do next. If you look at that big, what do you want to do in life? Honestly, it's
Mm.
overwhelming,
Yep.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's a lot to take on. And I don't know my kids just changed schools. We had to move, like I don't know how these things are going to pan out. But if I keep looking at life as a series of steps and I say, this is something that's a lot of fun for me, it gets me excited and I get to do it with awesome people, that's what gets me really energized and going. And so I worked in different kinds of direct to consumer businesses before Create and Cultivate. And so Create and Cultivate was a phenomenal opportunity where some of the board members brought me on and they said, listen, we want to get this company to scale and we want to exit this company. Can you make that happen? And I did that. I started at Create and Cultivate when my first baby was 7 weeks old and my husband was
Gosh.
traveling internationally for Deloitte.
Yeah.
And so he would be gone 2 weeks at a stretch. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through and do. And it's one of the best things I also ever had to go through and do. I will say this till the end of time. As a mother, especially before when I had really young kids, it is very, very important for you to take care of yourself. And everyone's definition, there's
Mm.
this whole thing out there always of self care and go to a spa and I don't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your version of self care is what is important to you and what is
Amen.
going to get
Yeah.
you to the mental space that you need to be in. For me, what I love to do is I love to be in an environment where I feel that I can excel and I'm mentally stimulated. That's what makes me feel good. So working for me, that is my own place of taking care of myself and self-care. When I had my first kid, I was really struggling. And when I was working at Create and Cultivate, I was able to go to work, do a great job, and then go home and be a better mother for my newborn child. And that was the best situation I could be in. And when I was with him, I had so much more patience, so much more empathy. He was a college child. My husband was traveling. It was very hard. But when I was with him, I was with him.
Mm.
And my husband and I have a phenomenal relationship where we really know how to tag. It's like a baton, like who has the baton at what point in time. And even if I can't spend all the time in the world with my children, I want to make sure that the time that I'm spending with them actually matters. And it is meaningful time. I'm not sitting there on my phone. I'm not texting people. I'm not doing things. And that's something to me that is very important. And so back to your question, or your original question here, just to make sure I don't go too off topic, is what is, and I almost heard you say this without you saying, but what is almost the thread that could be
Yeah.
common here, or how did you switch paths? And I think a lot of times to people, these things will occur to all of us in life, is that we're switching paths because other people might not understand what we're up to. But as long as you know what you're up to, you think it all connects, that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
And at any point in time in your life, it's not about age. It's about different stages. You have different stages of your life. So the stage that I'm in right now and my period of self-care is working in the places I like to work with the people I like to work. And then I get to also then have fun with my kids.
Yeah.
And that's the stage that I'm in.
I just have to like hit on some really important things you said. I'm glad you slightly went off topic because you dropped some wisdom there. So the first thing I heard you say is this idea, whether it's raising a child or working with a company. Even the fact that you initially thought, oh, perhaps it's cosmetics, perhaps it's pet food, and it ended up being wine. There's a real need, for the sake of identifying what's best next, to hold on loosely, to almost have this open fist kind of policy in life. Have an idea, but let it come and go. Don't clench your fist, because it's really hard to unclench a fist. So that was one thing I heard you say that I think applies to us no matter what we're doing in life. The other thing I think is key. I also worked while my kids were little. I had the pleasure or the curse, I'm not yet sure, of working from home most of the time, which meant that it was really hard to create those sort of boundaries. But I remember struggling with my decision at times, because it seemed crazy, and thinking, oh, what would staying at home all the time look like to me? And being a 100% of my time mother. And my husband is the one that said, that is the worst idea for our family. Like, he knew me in a way and could give me the permission I really needed to give myself at the time, as a young mom, to say, that's actually not what's best for you. And the fact that you gave us self-care context for that, I think, is really, really important. And then the other thing that you said that I thought was really important is this idea of a through line. I myself have been inspiring and equipping women to lean into their purpose for a long, long time, for 20 plus years, even though each iteration looks different. And now I'm talking about midlife and age and how do we do those things. And you too, from working with direct to consumer companies to going into Create and Cultivate to teaching, everything you've done is to equip brands, people, and ultimately even consumers, right, with this excellent product and process in that. Would you say that's true?
100%. You're a phenomenal listener.
I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention. Another thing that I want to bring up that you do, and have been really intentional about as I've started to pay attention to your work, is really equipping us women, regardless of age, to better understand their finances and become their own advocates. And you yourself have become an advocate in looking at not only teaching at UCLA, but also in your work with the Abundance Collective in helping women to understand sort of their financial power. Was that a like, hey, she's really smart, let's bring her in so she can teach us? Or was that more of a, I feel called to this work?
So my dad is a financial business planner.
Yeah.
Growing up in my household, I remember I was a young girl, and my mom was arranged marriage from India.
Yeah.
She came to this country when she was just over 20 years old, and she had me when she was 21. And I have a younger sibling as well. And my dad would want to teach us certain concepts, and my mom would say to him, what, they're okay, they're young, let them be, let the young girls be young girls. And my dad would say, no, my daughters need to be equipped, and they need to be able to take
Mm.
care of themselves if they ever need to, and if they want to understand these things. And so it started to turn into a dinner conversation in our household. It could be Friday night and we're talking about interest rates. It could be Saturday at a dinner party somewhere at a family friend's house, and we're talking about what's going on with certain companies and what's happening and who's selling, right? It was so much fun. And it was a part of our everyday conversation, and it was amazing. As I grew older, I started to notice a lot of women haven't always had that
Hmm.
opportunity, and they haven't always had the chance to be exposed to those items. So when they're talking about it, they're coming from a more of a sense of it's something that they have to figure out or something that's hard to learn, instead of something that is very fun and it's conversational to talk about. And I started to, when I was in grad school, and then from grad school, I went straight into banking. I started to notice a little bit of difference between me or some women who were very comfortable with the conversation as opposed to women who weren't. We were the people who knew these concepts, or it was more of inherent knowledge for us. We were a lot more confident. It wasn't just about how we talked about things, it was our confidence level. I believe I was given such a gift by happenstance,
Mhm.
by good fortune, whatever it is, that it was something that my dad would talk about so much with us. And so for me, it was and is very important to go out in the world and share with people as much as I can about finance and personal finance specifically. When you are comfortable with money, money is the start in the chain. It's a domino reaction. It is when you're comfortable with those items, you act differently. You're taking a stance from where you are in life and how you're going to go out into the world and be. And to me, that's very important. Now, all of us I'm not saying that finance and personal finance is the most important thing in the world. To me, that is something I know well. And that is my area to give back to the world in. And I'm doing it because it makes me feel good. I know why I'm doing this. It makes me feel fulfilled to the cup, to the brim,
Mm.
when I hear people talk and tell me that something occurred in their life and they were so much more comfortable and confident because they understand these items. The number of women that I've had that tell me they feel more, they have a stronger stance of confidence with their partner because they understand these concepts. And so when they're having conversations about financial matters with their partner, they know that they can say whatever they need to say and not come from a place of fear, but come from a place of confidence. I was with a couple this weekend who had told me a couple times before their marriage is stronger
Mm.
because both people are coming to the marriage with a sense of respect for each other because they know that they're in the marriage not because somebody has to be, but because they want to be. Right. And the woman got married to her husband. They had met in high school and she got married just after high school. They got married in college. They ended up having kids very, very young. They have three wonderful kids. And so she hasn't necessarily what we would consider the traditional form work. Right. And her husband has been the primary breadwinner, but they're a team. But after she took a series of our classes on investing, her relationship with her husband has shifted. And that to me, that is great for her. That to me, I am so fulfilled that I was able to be a part of that, even if a small part or a start of
Yeah.
what is it? A Tinder,
Yeah.
right? It's a Tinder for someone in their relationship and their life, and it makes me feel good.
Sure. Well, I think I often say that our superpower is where our talent meets the world's need. When we can
Yeah.
find that intersection, that's when we're sort of living into our call, our superpower, or whatever you want to call it. And it sounds like you've found that at an early age. It takes some of us a really long time to find that. So that's a gift. I want to go back really quickly to the work that you are currently doing. What is it that if you would say, this is my why in this business, this is my why with Full Glass Wine, what would it be?
I mean, that's a really good question. Um, because it's fun.
Yeah, that's a
That's
great
like,
why. That's a great why. Yeah.
it's so, like, I can't believe I'm doing some of the things that I'm doing.
Mm,
It is everything in my line, the through line, everything connects. One of the classes I teach at UCLA undergrad is entrepreneurial accounting and finance.
hmm.
And so I'm going to tell you a little story. So last year when I was teaching
Yeah.
a class
Tell
in
me.
spring,
I love
I
that you're leaning in. Yeah,
know.
I love it. Yeah.
I feel like I'm telling something under the
Yeah.
radar, and I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
I'm being recorded. But so last year I was teaching this class, and we were interviewing somebody at my work, and I wanted to do something a little bit fun and different. So because I'm teaching entrepreneurial accounting and finance, and
hmm.
I'm literally acquiring a series of companies. Like it
Hmm.
couldn't be any more. Like I'm in the class in the morning, I'm teaching, and then I leave class, and the same things I'm talking about in the class, I'm doing at work, and I'm
By
trying
the
to
way,
figure out these deals.
that's who we want to be learning from. I mean, if only all of our teachers had come equipped with some real life experience. But anyway, back to you. Yeah.
So there was someone that we were interviewing for a certain analytics role. And I'm like, this guy, I'm a little bit unsure. They have the skill set, but do they have the right culture fit, which is very important in a startup space?
Yeah.
So you know what I did is we were just going through that topic in my class and my undergrad students. They're amazing. And I told them about this candidate. And then I asked the candidate to come and guest lecture at my class within the next 2 weeks. But I didn't tell him my students know we're interviewing him. So he came, the students came with these questions prepared to see if how well does he know his information and is he right for us? And then the following class after they saw him, we all did a session where they gave me feedback. Now, for the students, that's amazing because they're seeing
Yeah.
real life, real time.
Yeah.
And they're also learning what are things you look at when you're looking at candidates. How do you structure teams? How do you, all of these things, right? And then they're also involved in the process with me. It was so much, like, honestly, when you ask me my why, it is so much fun. There is no day that is the same. I forget next week. I don't know what's going to happen by end of day today,
Yeah.
right? Like anything can happen, but everyone has their own thing. I love the excitement. I love the energy. I am never bored and I have a lot of fun. And my co founder and I are a great team. We're a really, really good team. We know how to communicate well, and it is a lot of fun for me.
How did you find your co-founder? Because I think that can be tricky.
So him and I actually worked together
Hmm,
many, many years ago. And
perfect.
so the thing that I can share with you too, I think that your audience is going to really resonate with is that when you're looking at a short timeline, everybody's looking at whatever the wins I'm going to get with work or careers right now. When you're looking at a long enough timeline, the relationships that you've had along the way, it's
Hmm.
so much fun to see things come back into the picture. At Create and Cultivate, we actually had a family office that was looking to, when we're going through the sale process, we actually had a family office that was looking to buy us. They ended up backing out at the nth hour, which always happens in deals. But here's the funny part. Between Create and Cultivate and then Full Glass Wine, I did a couple different things, but one of the things I did is I actually had a small but a $20 million fund called New Money Ventures. And we were making investments in CPG companies and predominantly companies that were female founded, female run, female led. There was some sort of a female component to it. But essentially, the family office, here's the fun part, the family office that backed away from the deal at the end hour, and I was pregnant with my second child, and it was Delta COVID. It was so hard. They are the ones who ended up later on fully 100% funding our new fund.
Oh, wow. Going through the process with you and getting to know you was like, we like her, we trust her, we want to do something. Even though this deal isn't right, we're going to do something.
Exactly. And the reason I think that's really important to know, because when you're looking at a short timeline, these things, it is what it is.
Yeah.
When you look at a long enough timeline, different stages of your career and your life cycle, it's really amazing to see how things can come back around. And so, working with integrity, working the right
Yeah.
way, these are very, very important concepts. Everybody will tell you on any podcast or anything else that you ever hear, build right relationships, which is important. It is important. Along with that, or to build good relationships, you got to work with integrity.
Yeah.
Doing what you said you were going to do. People want to know that you're reliable. If you're going to drop the ball, listen, I dropped the ball. But it's like, let people know, hey, I think this ball is going to drop. I just want to give you a heads up. I just don't have the capacity.
Right.
Right. And so it's letting people know in advance when you can. I mean, I did that with you today for the podcast. We had a
Yeah.
different time. And then my daughter, so what happened today is that last minute we found out from my daughter's new potential schools that we have to, as parents, go and be interviewed, which is,
The
and they
worst.
gave me
Yeah.
I know they gave me a time and they're like, this is the only time we can
I
do it.
know.
I'm like,
And
wait,
you
I have
have
an
to go.
amazing,
No, you
I have
have to go. I know.
amazing podcast recording.
Yeah.
So listen, I dropped, but it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
communication and being in integrity.
But you didn't drop the ball. You respected me. You respected my time. You asked if we could move it. You did all the things. Fast forward, I know that about you. You know that there's flexibility with me. Like that, those are the things that establish a relationship. I know we just did our big summit. And I've had over the years of doing summits and interviewing people, people will often say, how do you know these people? And I'm like, oh my gosh, the string of relationships and keeping up with people when you don't want anything, when there's no ask, that's the thing that makes it easy when there is an ask or an opportunity comes up on both sides. But go back to your co-founder. So you guys had this relationship and you were able to you saw that in each other. You saw what each could bring to the table. And did you guys I mean, most of the advice we hear about finding co-founders is find somebody who does something completely different than you or is skilled in a completely different way. Would you say that's the case with the
Yes.
two of you? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't even
You're going to
hesitate.
find someone who, no, it's the easiest thing. You find people who have the skills that you don't have or you're not great at. And
Yeah.
I think when I was younger, I would, if I saw an area that I wasn't great at, I would try to be better at it. Now, as I've gotten older and a little wiser,
Yeah.
I'd like to think it's just, if I don't have fun with it and I'm not going to love it, why am I trying to do it over
Yeah.
and over and break my head against the wall for something? If I do the stuff and I focus in on the areas that I really enjoy and I'm really good at, the work product is amazing
Absolutely.
and I don't feel like I'm working.
Absolutely. Which isn't that what we all want? Okay, so talk to me a little bit about you've talked about the importance of equipping women on the advocating side, on the finance advocating side. It's on the investing side. It's on the uh, raising
Personal
capital
finance.
side. It's on
Yeah.
the personal finance side. So in this sort of ecosystem, what's your favorite?
Oh my God. You know what? That's like asking someone to pick a favorite kid.
That's okay. We all need you in our lives because I don't know very many women who would say that when it comes to finance. So that's awesome. So you really appreciate all sides of the coin.
I do, but I mean, if we're saying that a coin has many sides, it's not a coin unless it has all the sides,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's hard to say something like that because what I love about looking about company finance is you're looking at the operations of a company, right? So
Hmm.
it's really the core of the business. And I think that that's what is the start of a series of things at a company. Like even if you're looking at direct to consumer for marketing, how are the campaigns? What should be the average order value? What should be my first order profitability? What if my first order isn't profitable? At what point in time does a certain LTV kick in for my customers? So the finance drives all of those, what we would consider our marketing analytics, but the
Yeah.
finance drives it, the internal operations of the company. So there's that. Then you have finance on the M&A side. And that's where I'm very active right now, the past 2.5 years. And that's the class I teach at UCLA right now as well, entrepreneurial accounting and finance. If you're trying to raise, if you're trying to sell a company, if you're trying to do any transaction, this is the fun part is who are all the players? Like this is where it's like a chess
Yeah.
game, right? Who are all the different players? What are the moves they can make? What can happen? What can't happen? And it's not just finance, it's actually a whole human dynamic.
Yeah.
So that human dynamic portion is a lot of fun. Then another side of the coin is the personal finance, right? So, what are people's financial means to make certain decisions? Why are they making decisions that they are? Even if you're looking at this game of all these different startups and these companies, if somebody already has a certain net worth or somebody's already at a certain place, then they're going to want to sell at a later point at a time in the company. Like it's all to me tied together. So there's so many fun things that can really occur here.
And I think anticipating what those possibilities can be and understanding how to be strategic within that ecosystem is probably what's cool too.
Yeah, it honestly it really is.
I love how excited you get. It's awesome. We need to do like a whole finance class on Liberty Road just with you. Let me ask you before we wrap this up, how has your age, and you're still quite young. I mean, our listener, although we keep skewing younger and younger, but she's in her 40s and 50s and 60s. That's who we're talking to on the podcast. How has your age informed the way you work, whether it's the project you're going after, or like you said earlier, really knowing I'm going to focus on what I'm good at. I'm going to be excellent there. What are some other examples of how your maturity has informed your work?
I would say, so I am in my mid 40s,
Hmm.
but I would say that it has to do more with stages of life than age. I had kids a little bit on the later side than some
Hmm.
of the other people that I know. And so the stage of life that I'm in is go, go, go all the time, as anybody with young kids can definitely understand. We can have a meltdown. My daughter had a meltdown this morning because she didn't want to throw away a wrapper. And it was the biggest
Naturally,
meltdown,
naturally. Yeah.
right? So it is what it is. But basically, it has made me ever since I had children, I just don't really care what other people think.
Hmm.
And it's not because I'm stronger or I'm wiser or anything. I just don't have time.
Yeah. It's
Like, I do
bandwidth.
not,
Yeah.
yes, it is bandwidth and it
Yeah.
has made me so hyper focused. It's amazing. And the other thing is that as I've gotten more experience in life and I've gotten more mature, I love the word that you use with maturity as well, right? The thing that's come up for me is that all of us still have self doubts, fears, issues. We question ourselves all the time. That's going to happen for the rest of my life. And for all of you guys listening, it's going to happen for the rest of your life too,
Yeah.
right? It's just human
Yeah.
nature. But when you come to the understanding that those are just human ways of thinking and that happens to everybody, you start to work on developing a muscle to say, every time something comes up, I'm just going to swat it away. And so I look at it, my kids, oh my God, they got these fly swatters recently and they're like hot pink and green and blue and all this stuff. And we don't have flies, but they got it for fun.
Yeah.
They just use them as like these tools to like open, like they like extend and they go close. It's so funny to watch them. But when I'm watching them play with these things, you start to think, and it's like, wait a minute, if we have flies and you're swatting away flies, why can't I just mentally pretend I'm swatting away these thoughts as they come to my mind? So I'm not good enough, swat. Am I going to make this through? SWAT. Is there something else coming in my way? SWAT. Is this person talking badly about me? SWAT. Like, these things keep coming into the picture. You just swat them away. And so as I've been more experienced and I've gotten older in life, I've learned to prioritize significantly better. And then on top of that, also, I've learned to deal with all of the self doubt and concerns come into my way. And one thing I want to say here too is somebody told me this a long time ago and I loved it. And it was, what's the difference between um, courage and then bravery, right? So courage and bravery. Bravery is if you see something going on, you're strong, you go take care of it. Courage is there's something in front of you. It could be self doubt, fear, whatever it is. Even with that, you do what you need to do because it's important to you. Even with the self doubt, even with the fear, when I started teaching, so my first accounting class was a CPA review course for Becker, and I was 24 years old. And I
Wow.
remember I went into a room in Irvine in Orange County, and there was 80 something people in the room. I was so nervous. I went to the bathroom. I went and saw the room. I went to the bathroom. I sat on the toilet, and I was hyperventilating.
Yeah.
I felt like my heart was going to jump out of my chest and go on the floor. And then I remembered, what am I here for? Am I here for me or am I here to teach and give these students a great experience? And I was able to go in and teach the class. That was the hardest for me. It took me years to be very comfortable with it, just to be clear. It took me a long time. I've been teaching for a long time now, right? Like half my life I've been teaching basically. Do I still get nervous? Absolutely. The first 1 to 3 minutes of a class, I'm so nervous. Every time I get up in front of my students, my undergrad students, if I'm teaching other classes, anything, I am nervous. The thing is that it's and within the first few minutes, I remember and realize this isn't about me.
Hmm.
And as soon as I become good with that concept of this is not about me, me disappears. And the only thing that exists are them in the room and what I'm up to. And what I'm up to is making sure that they have a great class. They get great information and the me concept disappears. That has worked well for me. I didn't do that on purpose. It wasn't a strategy I was trying to develop. It just happened because I'm focusing on it's like the courage, regardless of what's happening, I'm still going to do it.
Sure.
And I know anybody who's a parent, given the state, no matter
Sure.
what, you know what I'm talking about because you disappears when it's about your kid, right? That now as a leadership technique has really helped me in life because it's not about me or how I look or what's happening, but it's about what am I up to? And usually what I'm up to, what we're all up to is bigger than just us.
Yeah.
And that's actually really cool.
That's really cool. That now I know why the fireworks went off when you did that. I think also I have to point this out. everything that you just said, ironically or by design, not ironically, by design, produces the best you. What they end up getting when you are in service to others produces the best you. So, I mean, what a leadership technique to have honed in on, and have honed. And what a gift to all the people that you are getting in front of. You may have answered the question, but I have to ask. It's our final question of the podcast. The show is Liberty Road. The idea is that it's really a journey for us to liberate ourselves, our dreams, what we want for ourselves. How has the work that you've been doing, I would say as an advocate at Full Glass Wine, the work you had done prior to that, how has your work liberated you?
I love that question, just so you know. But yes, it's this whole podcast, I think right now has just showcased how it's liberated me. I will go through this one. I don't want to end on a down note, but it's a positive story. But I had really bad postpartum after my first child. And so I would see, I cried all the time. And I saw a bowl of half eaten food in the fridge and I would cry because it was half eaten. Right. And I thought postpartum was, I didn't understand. And I thought that these things just don't really happen to people or they're not able to push through it. But it's real and it's a chemical imbalance and it is hard to deal with. And I have so much more empathy now for anyone who has to go through anything that is mental related. And that's why it's such a big push for me right now in life in regards to everybody getting their own version of self-care. When I started work at Create and Cultivate, within like 2 days, I stopped crying. And I was able to move quickly through postpartum without any medication. Liberation is just, that's what my work has been for me my whole life. Like, it allows me to do what I want in this world. It allows me to be happy and do fun things. My work is very hard. It can be very stressful. It is very challenging. I just want to be clear, but I would not have it any other way because I wake up every single day feeling alive and I know that I get to live my life. And that is so freaking cool.
That is indeed so freaking cool. Thank you, Neha. I adore you. Now I know why those people said we need to meet. I just think you're the best. And thank you for bringing your enthusiasm, your hope for us. I really appreciate your time.
You're most welcome. And can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone needs hope. Every single person has it in them to do what they want to figure out in their life. Have you ever seen the Lego movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not the follow-on sequels, but the original Lego movie to me is one of the best movies. And like with Emmett in the Lego movie, everybody thought he was the special. Then they find out he's not the special. The thing is that every single person is the special. Every single person has it in them to create a world that works for them. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be buying this massive house or going on cruises and buying certain bags. You don't need all of that. You can create what you need within the parameters that you have. And you also have the ability to shift parameters if you choose to do so, because every single person has the ability to be the special. And if you haven't seen the Lego movie, anyone listening, I highly recommend it. It is a kids movie. I have little kids, but every single person is special and has that ability.
Well, thank you for that. I'm going to push back and say you still gave us hope. And even if that's just to look within, right? People,
I agree with that.
We're in community by design. We're in community to learn from one another, to be uplifted by one another. And you came and did that for us today. So thank you so much. Of course.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Liberty listeners, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Bye for now.